Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on 790 The Bet. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this March 19th. And appreciate this being third Saturday of the month. I would normally look over to my left, and there would be Frank Barton, my Marion businessman and co-host of this show for many years on the third Saturday of each month. But Frank's on the line. He had a long trip to Kentucky this past week where Goose excelled in a Retriever Club event up there in Kentucky, got third place. And Frank, I know that you've heard of Buckmasters, and I know, Frank, you've probably heard of this record book that they've been doing for a long time. So I want you to listen, Frank, as we talk to Mike Handley, because Mike Handley has been part of this, it seems like forever, but he is the editor of the Rack magazine, but he's also the executive director of Buckmasters Whitetail Trophy Records. And the 8th edition of that amazing book is coming out in April, and we're going to talk to Mike about it. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Larry.
All right, let's talk about it. This is the 8th edition, and it's an amazing event, and I know this is not something that you do in 2 weeks. So tell our listeners what goes into putting out this amazing book of 18,000 whitetails, records from all
Larry,
sorts of them.
People wouldn't believe how much time it takes to assemble something like that. But we've been collecting entries, almost daily for the last 5 years, getting ready for this crop.
Wow.
The book contains every whitetail that we've entered since 1996, and that is now over 18,000 there, because I'm getting 2 or 3 dozen a week.
That's amazing.
But it takes months of refining the data and checking the spellings and the county names, and after I have my first look at it, I send it off to a designer, and then we'll collaborate another 3 months. So it's been a long time in the making.
And you do this because the amazing interest of all of us in whitetail deer, and particularly I like just to see them. And when it comes to 490 pages, 312 photos, Mike, I don't know how you do it. I mean, how much does that baby weigh?
Well,
how much does that
originally it was going to be 900 pages, Larry.
Come on. Come on.
If we'd stuck to the same size and format as the last several record books, it would have been 900 pages. So we took it up a notch, and now it's 8.5 by 11, which allowed me to keep it thin enough to hold without breaking a foot.
Right,
but you lost your grip.
Because I know I've got one edition. I've kept it, and I look at it all the time. It's not something I can exactly put it in my back pocket or in your backpack when you head to the woods. But the amazing compilation here, Mike, is who does all this?
Well, the neat thing about our system, Larry, is that we have multiple categories. With some of the other guys, they just have 2, typical and non-typical, and they don't even break it out into the methods of harvest.
They
don't.
It doesn't
matter if it's a bow kill or a gun kill.
Yeah.
There's one set of minimums, and it's just for those 2. We break it down into the different categories, for 4 types of bows, 4 types of firearms, pickups, and even shed antlers.
Amazing.
The idea was people wouldn't have to pour through the records and still not be able to find out where their deer that they took with a crossbow
ranks with
other deer taken by a crossbow.
And I think that shed category was a lot of us love to do that after the season. You don't think about, hey, look what I found. It may go in the record book. So do you get constant? I can't imagine how much correspondence is coming into you guys. I mean, how do you handle all that now? And we are in the computer age. I know that, and things like that. But folks, when they started, it was like putting it down with a ballpoint pen or a number 2 eraser, whatever it might have been.
Well, it's all encompassing. I've got a network of stores across the country that we've had as many as 600 something at one time.
Oh no!
But they all score deer in all the states.
Yes.
And they send the score sheets to me personally.
You personally?
And I
okay.
look at them, enter them, make sure that all the boxes are checked, and then put them in the computer. And then, I can't help it. I take out and look at all the records every now and then just to see,
yes,
the best of the best and where they're falling.
Well, it's an amazing thing that those of us that love to deer hunt, and I know Frank's listening to this as we, and what I really found since the foundation, since its foundation in 1994, more than 1,000 official scores have been certified for the BTR scoring system across the United States and Canada, and with that growing annually. You guys have done something that is a lasting. This is a lasting memory for folks, right? I mean, you're in the memory making business.
It is. That's a very big part of it, and as you can imagine, it's why a lot of people enter their deer. We don't look at it as much that way. It is a who's who, but it's not. It's more of a reference material for just to see what states are producing the biggest deer, where they're falling down to the county level. Any one record book can give you a glimpse of what's happening across the country in the whitetail world.
Yes, yeah.
But if you just look at one or the other,
yeah,
you're not getting a complete picture. For example, Boone and Crockett has scores in places where we're weak. They're really strong in Wisconsin and Iowa.
Yeah.
Yet we're very strong in some of the other states.
Right.
Ohio,
yes.
Louisiana,
yeah.
the Southeast. And so you have to look at all of it in order to judge truly the best whitetail states.
And they do bows, firearms, pickups, and shed antlers. And one of the things, 312 photos. That's just amazing to think of that many photos put together. Mike is.
Well, look at it this way, Larry, or picture this.
That's a good
one.
one.
If you have 5,000 new deer since the last record book.
5,000.
And
the last record book. Last record book was when? When? How many do you put these out?
It was in 2016.
That's what I thought. Okay, that's the one I got. Okay, I got. Okay.
So if you look at 5,000 new entries, I tried to pick the biggest, baddest bucks.
Yes.
And the freshest ones to put in the record book. I don't want to run the same top 10, in all the categories year after year because, they're all old photos.
Yeah, right.
But if I just pick the new ones, I have to sort through 5,000 photos.
Oh, man.
To find the ones where the guy or gal is not sitting there on top of the deer with a cigarette and a beer can.
Yeah.
And they're somewhat tasteful.
Yes, yeah.
And we try to put those in just so that people can see fresh deer.
Yeah.
And most of the time, deer they've never seen.
That's right.
On social media.
Well, again, we're talking to Mike Handley of the Montgomery, Alabama, one of my favorite, the Black Belt of Alabama, editor of the Rack Magazine, executive editor of Buckmaster's Whitetail Trophy Records. And that new edition is coming out in April with 18,000 whitetails, a new larger format, as Mike said, with 490 pages and not 6,884 pages and 312 photos. I got to believe, Mike, in your capacity, not only as the Rack Magazine editor, but do you count deer at night to go to sleep? I'm amazed at
Larry. It's all consuming. My entire day and many nights are devoted to deer. If I'm not writing about them, editing stories written about them, I'm painting them.
Well, I think you've been doing it a while because I know I've been doing it a long time, and your name is well known out there. And I would ask you on the air. I'm not sure I'm going to. I've never said. You told me that you got an A+ for your first essay, and I don't know. Early on Saturday morning, you might be able to mention this, and maybe Frank will stop coughing when you hear about. When you give the name of that, but it's pretty.
Well, it was back in the late 70s. I was in high school, and we were tasked with writing our first essays.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, I've always been, since I was a little bitty boy, into deer hunting.
Yeah.
And so my first essay ever
Yes.
was entitled "The Son of a Bitchin' Armadillo."
All right, Frank.
It was about a deer hunt gone wrong.
Did you
An
hear that?
armadillo had run off a buck that I'd been stalking, and I wrote about it and got an A+, and I've been writing about it ever since.
You hear that, Frank? So, I mean, the title of the book, I never wrote the headlines on any of my stories in the newspaper, thank goodness, but some of them probably wished I would have written about that. But, Mike, we appreciate you.
You probably don't know this, Larry.
What's that?
But I was writing headlines for your stories 30 years ago. I was the outdoors editor of a newspaper in Montgomery, and I used to pull your stories off the wire.
That is amazing.
I was thrilled when you called.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I did it for a long time, and I tell you what, I would still be doing it right now, Mike, if they hadn't put somebody else's byline on my story for my last story. So I said that was it, buddy. Mike, thank you, man. Now you've really aged me, Mike. Thank you for that. So
you're most welcome, Larry.
All right, buddy.
Anytime I can help, just give me a call. We'll walk down memory lane.
We will, buddy. Thank you. All right, Mike Handley. Thank you, Mike. All right, Frank, you heard that, and when Frank was in kindergarten, he was reading my stories. I know Frank would probably say that too, right, Frank? You did you?
No, when I was in kindergarten, I was reading Henry Reynolds.
Oh, that's okay. You brought it up, and there you go. Well, you know something about Henry Reynolds, folks. His wife Jean passed away recently, and his daughter came down to Heber Springs. And they spread Miss Jean's ashes, and I'm not sure if it was on the Little Red River or Greer's Ferry. I can't remember. But speaking of Henry Reynolds, the man I followed at the commercial appeal, I didn't replace him. I can tell that for a fact. But anyway, let's take a break, guys. Thank y'all. We'll be right back on Outdoors of Larry Ray.